choices. Um, you're the girl that started with Dum Laga Ke Haisha. And what an unusual, unconventional choice that was, especially at a time when people didn't make such choices at the start of their careers. It's been now 8 years that you've been acting. I thought let's jump straight into it. What's the one professional decision that you've made in these years that you're most proud of?
That's actually quite a tough one because I feel like every time I choose a script and whatever love I get from the audiences or once I see the product and I'm like, okay, you went by your instinct and you did the right thing, I feel for me that professional choice kind of keeps on shifting. But if I think of specifically the last 1 year, I think one of the best decisions that I took was doing Badhai Do.
Yeah.
You know, I feel from Dum Laga Ke Haisha to Badhai Do, it's been quite a journey for me. And in every way possible, I feel like I got so much out of the film, you know, exactly the kind of love that I got for my first film. So I feel in the recent years, it definitely has to be Badhai Do.
But Badhai Do is an incredible film with a great performance and a great message. And I think most people that have seen it will agree that it's also one of those films that has a message but doesn't beat you on the head with it, which is just so important, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, look, I've always supported films that have a message, that have something more to say. But by the end of it, we all are here to entertain.
Yeah.
You know, we are artists. I want my audience to have fun. I want my audience to enjoy the 2.5 hours that they spend with me in the cinema. But it is very, very gratifying when they walk out with a certain amount of change of a mindset.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like in the times that we are living in, it is very important to stand by your belief system. It is very important for your art to kind of resonate with the times that we are living in. So I have in many ways, it could be Toiletic Prem Katha, Badhai Do, you know, or a Sand Ki Aankh, or a Bala, or Son Chiriya, any of the films that I have been loved and appreciated for. I feel like all these films have worked because they kind of have the right balance of entertainment with a bit of a message.
Yeah. So what's the process, Bhumi? I mean, when you're reading something that comes to you, or you're sitting in on a narration, what's the point at which you realize this is something I want to do, or this is something that I relate to? Is there a muscle that you use when you're picking what is next for you?
You know, honestly, I think the process is always different. You know, for Dum Laga Ke Haisha, I was just counting my stars and I was like ever so thankful because I got an opportunity to be an actor. There was no chance, you know, with the background that I had or the opportunities that were in front of me, or like, you know, as ma'am rightly said in my introduction, I truly feel that, you know, I'm not what a conventional Hindi film actor looked like. I feel like that's changed a lot over the last few years. But I feel like every time I'm reading a script or I'm hearing a narration, at some point, there is this excited child that starts jumping and I'm like, oh my God, I want to play this character. Oh my God, I want to be a part of this story. Because for me, honestly, the length of the part does not matter.
Right.
And I feel I've been applauded many times when I've not kind of conformed to कि ना ये picture करो क्योंकि ना ये full picture आपके ऊपर है या ये picture मत करो क्योंकि यार इसमें 5 ही scene है. But I have actually experienced it with a film like Son Chiriya when I actually entered on the 45th minute. Right. And everyone was like, but why would you do this film? There are like 11 male actors and, you know, you have like I literally had 9 scenes that mattered in the film. But it was just something about working with that director or being a part of that story. I saw an opportunity. I was like, Bhumi, if you shine in these 9 films, there's nothing stopping you. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. So I don't really have a formula. Till now, I've not understood the math behind why a film works or why it doesn't work. I purely function from a place of love for cinema, from a place of the greed of leaving behind a legacy of work that can be watched by generations to come. And every time I see an opportunity like so, I just jump at it.
Now, the choices you've made, like you said, you know, I'm guessing there are, and I don't know if it still happens. I guess now you've proved to be a bit of a deet, so I don't know if it still happens. But when you know, you're grateful for the opportunity to be offered something like Dum Laga Ke Haisha. But I'm guessing there are people who are telling you, "Are you nuts? Why would you do this film? It's your first film where you're going to put on all this weight, and people are going to think that's who you are, right?"
Absolutely. In fact, while I was going through that process, interestingly, so I was not allowed to tell anybody. I was like in an embargo that, because they were launching me and it was this unconventional film and, they put in all their might to kind of keep this a secret. So people in my personal life, while I was going through that transformation, because I had gained a decent amount of happy weight to portray that character, they kept asking me, what's wrong with you? And that is the strength that I kind of channelized into my character, because I was like, there's so much stigma attached to the way one looks globally, not just in our country. Because people actually came up to me and asked me that, is everything okay at home? Like, are you unhappy? Because that's what they correlate any kind of weight gain with. I was like, no, why can't I just be a happy girl, who's really enjoying her process through life? And I love food. I enjoy food. Why can't I just be that? Anyhow, I channelized a lot of that energy into Dam Laga Ke Aisha. But I feel more than how I looked physically, people were not convinced that I'm from Bombay. And this happens till date. So every time, and it's actually happened at the start of my career. I remember I was speaking to a very famous personality from the media, and it was one of my first interviews with her. And she was surprised at the way I spoke, because she just thought that maybe I belonged to a part of India that I'm actually not from. And I was like, okay, that must have been one hell of a performance that I've actually convinced people that I am from that part.
The country, yeah. Then when you stand for something that is important, and you put your weight behind, you put your strength behind, films like Bala that you spoke of, and Son Chidi, and these are unconventional choices, unusual choices. When there's a conversation around, say, the brown facing in Bala, or the accusations of ageism in Sand Ki Aankh, we'll not get into why those happen, but does that make you feel, as someone who's actually on the other side of the argument, where you're actually trying to fight to sort of destigmatize those prejudices, does that become disappointing that that's what people take away, or does it make you question that, did we screw up, did we make a mistake?
I mean, I think it's a mix of both. There is a certain amount of realization that if I'm trying to create a democratic, artistic environment, then I should also be a part of the solution. Having said that, the truth of the matter is that in the commerce of the business that we are in, an idealistic world does not always exist. I would want to create that, but it doesn't honestly exist, because this conversation stands true for me from my first film, because I wasn't naturally the way my character in Dam Laga Ke Aisha was. Correct. I have always tried to transform. Yeah. If I think of it personally, the greed that I have as an actor, I'm never going to stop taking up these roles. Right. Am I not going to try and create more opportunities for other actors to be a part of it? 100%. But I'm not going to stop taking on these roles, because I'm an actor. It is my primary job to be able to play different characters. Right. So I don't think I'm being dishonest to, or I'm doing a disservice to what I'm supposed to do. But yes, it would be a disservice if I don't create an environment that is equal and has more opportunities.
Sure. Just to rattle off some of your filmography: Toilet Ek Prem Katha, Shubh Mangal Savdhan, Sand Ki Aankh, Bala, Badai Do, Bheed. They're clearly films which are socially relevant films. Is this merely a coincidence?
I don't think so. For the first half of my career, I was like, no, these films are just coming on to me, but the truth is, these are my choices. Yeah. I think it's inherently in my nature to give back. And I feel like the position that I'm at, I'm very fortunate that my work, my job, or my art gives me an opportunity to kind of give back, and this is kind of my way or my service to the society. And I feel like a lot of it comes from my upbringing, because, I always saw my parents do the same through their own ways. And I have immense love for the country that I live in. I am a very, very proud Indian, and I always have been. So for me, to create, to have any kind of positive impact within my country gives me a lot of pride and a lot of pleasure. So I feel like I'll always continue doing socially relevant cinema. But having said that, I also kind of enjoy dwelling into Pati Patni Aur Wo, or like, some of the films that are going to come out, or, because for me, I want to be entertained while I am filming that film.
Right.
So even if it's a Bala or it's a Dam Laga Ke Haisha or a Sand Ki Aankh, all these films have had a certain amount of lightness to them while kind of conveying something very important. So I think that's something that I like dwelling in.
I'm going to talk to you about the entertainment in these films, but what I want to ask you is, do you think that socially relevant films, or films that have, a film like Toilet Ek Prem Katha, which was very important, which was speaking about something specific, do you think they have the potential to lead to change? And have you experienced that in the films that you've done, or through the films that you've done? Have you noticed real world changes that may have occurred post a Toilet, or post a Bala, or post any of these films that you did?
Absolutely. If I speak of Toilet Ek Prem Katha specifically, a film that I'm so proud of, it honestly was a career-changing film for me, because for me, Toilet Ek Prem Katha was like a re-debut, in somebody who was like the closest to who I am. But I remember when the script had come to me, India was not open defecation free. We were at a staggering 55%, and obviously, we had all government agencies trying their best. With the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, there was a massive change that had happened. But what we needed to do was we needed to kind of seep into the mindset that people had.
Right.
And when a film like Toilet came out, we actually saw that change, because in every little village, taluka, district of India, Toilet Ek Prem Katha was played, and they'd seen that content, and they were like, okay, this is my right. It is my right to have access to sanitization and good sanitary health. And we are very proud that, post the film, and the film was celebrated globally,